Good rising, brethren. This is Big Judah coming to you guys from California. Before I begin, give all praises to the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. I pray the Most High blesses this lesson this evening, gives us more knowledge and understanding of the events of the past, in order to understand events that are currently happening on the earth, so we get a much better understanding of the things that are soon to come on the earth. Brethren, who are the ones that have been responsible for writing our history? Who are the people who have been responsible for giving us our designated races? Who we are as a people? Who are the ones that have told us where we come from and where our holy lands are? And we're getting into those kinds of questions right now. And for what purpose has, this entity given us different names and different races and different groups? There's always some kind of a reason, method behind their madness. We're going to get into that today. As we get more information and more knowledge, understanding, what I'm seeing from a lot of the brothers and sisters when I'm getting emails and text messages, that it's opening up so many other avenues, so many other reference points of knowledge, things that maybe we've seen before that we didn't really understand, but now we're getting much more clarity. Just like yesterday, I was talking about how, the Most High is going to be giving us other books and other understandings in here in these last days. And these other books don't necessarily always have to be religious books. And I think sometimes we kind of get pigeonholed into thinking certain things like that because, you think the Most High is opening up books and opening up understanding. It's only going to be in books, that deal like biblical books, things like that. Or just, if, for the Bible only, they're only going to believe it's only the Bible. And it's going to open up more understanding of just that one book. But as you're seeing, a lot of these historical books are now being opened up to us. And you can see our story written all over these books. Who were the ones that gave the white Irish the Irish designation? The British, who gave them the British designation, all these other white European countries, and the so-called, black people who were given Africa and these different, countries within Africa. We're going to read a little bit about how this was done, why this was done. And the thing is that when you realize that it was done in the past, then you're going to see why it was done when he came over here to the Americas. It's the same game plan. Satan does the same things. He repeats himself over and over again. So once you get once you get the understanding of how he did it before, then you'll see how he did it here, and you'll see why they do these things. And I'm sure many of us kind of knew how this is already working out in our spirit, but this is just kind of putting the pen to paper, and we can actually see it, and then it's more confirmation of the things that we're seeing. Okay. And like I said, the whole Psalms 83 is just so deep, and it's ongoing. A lot of people and that's one thing that Satan and his minions have done, is make you think that, oh, that happened a long time ago. Oh, that was in the Old Testament. Things are different now. When you understand that the devil does the same things over and over again, and just repeats himself, and repeats many of the his actions, you'll see that many things that happened in the Old Testament are still happening today. Who's the one that designated this as the Old Testament? The church, right? And there's a New Testament. That was all the church. Why is that? Because, he's trying to make it seem as if there's something brand new, that the Most High has somehow changed. And that's what churches do. I was having a discussion with my father the other day, and we were kind of talking about, he was like, well, yeah, the God of the Old Testament, he was mean. He would kill people for just about anything. I said, Dad, he didn't change in the New Testament. I said, and not necessarily Dad. I mean, bad things happen to people who follow the Most High. I said bad things happen to our people, and we were following the Most High in the Old Testament. I said, and the apostles, almost all of them died a horrible death, and they were following Yahweh Shai. He's like, yo, yeah, you're right, huh? I was like, so when you go to a church and they just give you a feel-good story all the time, and they make it seem as if you're only going to win if you follow Jesus, like that old picture I showed. If you're following Jesus, then you're always going to be winning. Get used to just be winning all the time. But see, the scriptures aren't like that. While we're here, we're going to be tested. But that testing is not what the churches want to teach. That's not the storyline that the churches want to push. They want to push that if you follow the Jesus of this world, you're going to be winning. You're going to be on top. Why is that though? Because this is your heaven. The earth is given into the hands of the wicked, and then he's able to bless you for following his wicked ways. And you see that, while we're going through many things, many trials, many tribulations, you'll see many of the people around us loving life, enjoying life. And sometimes, I used to wonder, like, I'm trying to follow the Most High. I'm trying to do the things that he wants me to do. Why am I sick? Why am I struggling? Why am I having such a hard time? And these people over here who could care less about the Most High, who are just, all about the world, are having a great time. Why is that? Well, now you get more understanding, because this isn't our rest. This is their heaven. And when you understand that, then it makes much more sense when you read the scriptures and you see the things that are happening to, the followers of the Most High in the Old Testament, as they say, and the people who followed the ways of the Most High after when Yahushua was born. The 12 apostles. It said most of them all died horrible deaths. Many of the people who decided to follow Christ suffered and were killed. So, and that's what it talks about all in the scriptures. If you follow the Most High, just prepare yourself for these types of things. So let's get into this real quick. Irish wisdom preserved in Bible and pyramids. Okay, we're going to read a couple pages this morning. The Irish Pope Kings, formerly the rulers of Britain. A writer in the Encyclopedia Britannica, in the article on Ireland, gives a very adroit presentation of when and how the Scots, or Irish, were converted to Christianity. He seems to be conscious of the deception that has been perpetrated on the world, and that the history of this event could be presented to us in an improved and more plausible fashion than it has ever been done. This deficiency he has endeavored to make up by cunningly mixing into his narrative a neat dress, a composition of some truth with fable and fiction. And that's what they've done with many things. Some truth with fable and fiction. And all in such a manner as to make his story to the uninitiated appear like a very fair and truthful account. And many people, get into these encyclopedias, get into these books, and they just, they don't go to it objectively, with an objective mind. Oh, it's in the encyclopedia. Oh, they wouldn't lie to us. They'd tell us the truth. But see, now we're realizing that all of these people are confederate against us. So many of these things are mixed with some truth and fables. Okay? But now that the truth is out, his story falls flat. Although cleverly gotten up and evidently intended to be a very satisfactory summary of Ireland's past. As the Britannica is supposed to have weight, it appears to be a good medium for circulating such misleading information. It is quite obvious that the object is not to tell the truth, but to connect up all the missing links and the story which his predecessors might have been a little slack about in making it look right. It would really be amusing if it were not so unjust to see how he tries to mix up things by trying to confuse the reader as to the identity of the Scots, the Picts, and the Southern Irish of Munster. The truth is that they are all of one race and people, and these names have been given to them separately as part of the scheme to confuse. The nearer to the seat of the great crime, and the greater the need to confuse any would-be investigators. Okay, now this is what they've done all over the world. So again, the truth is that they are all of one race and people, and these names have been given to them separately as a part of the scheme to confuse. Now think about today. So they did this back then. They got all these different groups of people, and they gave them different names, different titles, right? So then that was set up to confuse people. Now they did this way back then. Now fast forward to 1492 and afterwards. They came over here. They started naming all these different places after themselves. They name all these lands after themselves, as they talked about in the scriptures. And then it's like, if you're in this, certain area, you're Mexican. If you're from this area, you're Ecuadorian. If you're from this area, you're Peruvian. If you're from this area, you are an American. You see that? So they start, it's all these different people. Well, they're making them different, but many of them are from one race. Oh, then they're Brazilian, right? You get all these different names. Colombians, right? You get all these different names. Cubans, right? And they're from the islands, right? So then you start giving them all these different names, and they give them all these different identities. You give them the different flags. You have them, you teach them that, you're from, this is where you were born, this is where you're from. Even though, you start looking at people, like I remember that with baseball. You have all these people coming from all these different parts of the world, and like, hey, they look black. But no, they speak a different language. They speak Spanish, or, and they speak a totally different language, but they look alike. But because they've been given a different identity, they don't put two and two together. They don't put together the fact that we are the same people. But then they give you different music, they give you a different language, they give you a different religion, and that's what has separated our people. And it's been done very cunningly. It's been done on purpose. It was not an accident. They did this on purpose to separate our people. And the separation continues even to today. I'm in this camp. I'm with this group. I don't associate with these people. I don't associate with this group. It's always about separation. I can't come together with you because we don't agree on the name, or we don't agree on the feast day. But it's all about separation. And that's all from the enemy. He's been working this separation thing for a very long time, because he knows, us coming together is how we're going to be strong. And he doesn't want that. He wants us to definitely be apart. So as you see what they did here, they had one group of people, one race of people, and they gave them all these different identities. They did that back then, and they've done it again now. And that's why people, it's like, no matter what America does, you are expected to always support America no matter what. And no matter what Britain does, if you're a British citizen, you're supposed to support Britain no matter what. No matter what China does, the Chinese are supposed to support them no matter what. And that's what's been ingrained into our people, to love your country and everything else. But the reason is to keep people separated, to keep the groups of people that the Most High intended. Hey, you Israelites, you guys are all one race. You guys are all one people. They split us all up all over the world. Gave us these different languages so we can't communicate with one another. Give us different religions so we can't, empathize with each other. Oh, he's Catholic. Oh, he's Christian. My religion's better than his. So he doesn't know. He's going to hell. I'm going to heaven because I know the true God. I'm a Jehovah's Witness. I'm a Muslim. So you guys don't know the real God. So you guys are all going to hell. That's the whole separation has been going on for a very long time. And you can see right here, it's been set up. You see here in the book, it's been set up. See, they hide all this information. They don't want you to make these connections as to, this game plan has been executed again and again and again. Let's continue. The nearer to the seat of the great crime, the greater the need to confuse any would-be investigators. This writer says, at that time, 314 AD, the Irish had possession of many places in West and South Britain and must have come into contact with Christians. You should see something already, but just with the date alone, that this doesn't make any sense. Okay? But these were more numerous, and the church better organized in South Wales and Southwest Britain, where the Munsters or Southern Irish were, than in North Wales, which was held by the Scots proper. Okay, so Encyclopedia Britannica, 9th edition, okay? This is an example of how he tries to confuse his readers by making it appear that there was easy intercourse between the Irish and Roman followers. There was no such intercourse. The adherents of each church were practically identical with their armies. The Roman church was only where the Roman spearhead was and nowhere else in Britain. Nor did the Romans lay claim exclusively to the title of Christians, exactly, right? Until, as is said, after 325 AD, after the Council of Nicaea. You see that right there? Like just little things like that. That wasn't until after 325 AD that they started calling themselves Christians, but they talk about how, in 314 AD there was Christians already here. You see that? But see, when you don't study and you don't really do a lot of research, you won't realize that, and you won't pick up on those kinds of things. It says, and there was no moving about of the inhabitants from the Roman to the Irish lines. They were kept as much apart as the peoples of the French and German territories during the late World War. Okay, so yeah, these people were not mingling with each other. They were at war, so it was like, you stay on your side, I stay on my side, and that's not how it worked. They were not proselytizing in the middle of a war. Okay, so there was no difference in race between the people of Munster, whom he calls Irish, and the same people whom he calls the Scots proper in North Wales. Same people, but just giving them different titles. Okay, it says, and there was no difference between those two peoples and the Picts. It says they were all the same people, and Eire or Erin, called Scotia by the priests, was the motherland of the race. The name of Scotia or Scotland has been transferred to Alba as part of the deception. Okay, and we know they've been changing names and naming places different things just to continue pushing this deception. Just like they said, I mean, everything about the church is all about ignorance and deception. What enlightenment has the Roman Catholic Church or the Christian Church brought to the world? You listen to them; they say that they brought civilization and Christianity and Christ, and but look at the history. They brought nothing but destruction, death, and pretty much been a rubber stamp to all of the horrible atrocities of the world. And see, what they want to do is come in after the fact and then set up a couple of little places, little churches here and there, and then act like they're doing some humanity efforts by giving food and giving out Bibles and and teaching to keep people out Christ. But they were the ones that were pretty much giving the rubber stamp for them to go in there and rape, rob, murder, and destroy, so they can try to come in at the end and play the nice guy. And our people were so desperate for help that they would take it and then listen to anything they had to say. I said, because they were in such horrible straits. If someone's, if you don't have any food, you don't have any shelter or anything like that, you're going to listen. And these guys come in. I said, then you're going to listen to what they have to say, because they kind of hold them, have lifted themselves up into these godly figures, angelic figures, and they're giving you back your own stuff, but you don't see that, and you just start to believe anything that they say, and then you teach your kids the same thing, and it's just a process, a cycle that just feeds on itself. And you got people all the way till today, when you're bringing out this truth, they don't want to hear it because they've been so brainwashed. Let's continue. As there has been a great crime committed and a monstrous imposture, put over on the people of the world, they found it to be extremely necessary to write an account of those people that would be confusing, and to change even the local names of places. So those British priests have written up a lot of mythical accounts of tribes and characters with which to do this. It is very easy to see through it when it is explained, but it requires study with the necessary knowledge at first to understand it. And that's it. What does the world definitely push you not to do? Study or to research. It was funny because yesterday the mailman brought me some boxes of books. He said, "Oh, your kids must be going back to school because you're getting all these books, all these books for the kids, And I'm just like, no. I said, these are all for me. And he said, oh, he's okay, and then he kind of left. And it's like, the thing is that you see me, you probably wouldn't think that hey, black people don't study, black people don't read. What are you talking about, man? You're just busy watching basketball and football. What are you talking about? You study. You probably threw him for a loop because he's bringing quite a few books, dropping them off at the house. He must have thought they're all for my kids, but that's the initial thought of most people. Black people don't study. We don't read. If you want to hide something, put it in a book. That was the joke before, right? But see, times have changed. The Most High has awakened His people, and now we're all into these books, and we're bringing up, getting all this knowledge, understanding. I'm getting so many emails, and thank you guys for sending them to me. People just, look at this book, check this out, check out this movie, check out, this show, because there's so much information out there now. And when the Most High gives you the Holy Spirit, and you're able to open up your understanding, and you're able to see yourselves in these shows, in these books, it opens up a whole new world. Just like when the scriptures were finally opened up to us the first time. You guys remember how when the Bible was opened up to us, and we saw the you, and you start seeing my people. You start seeing yourself in the Bible, and all of a sudden the Bible takes on a new meaning. Now the same thing with these books. These books are now taking on a new meaning because it's talking about us. Just like in the last video, we're talking about how it talked about the Irish church didn't want the Irish Catholics to read the Bible. And we know that that's us. That's exactly what they did to us, our people. Even till today, they still don't encourage you to read the Bible. Oh, don't read the Old Testament. Oh, don't read Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. Okay, just read Paul. Don't worry about don't worry about Revelation. Don't worry about those books. Don't read the Apocrypha. Don't read. It's the same thing, because they don't change. They do exactly the same things they did before. So you see here how they've changed the names of places and people and groups. How many times have our names changed? Being, niggas, colored, Negro, African American, Afro American, African. Our identity has been changed so many times. Now we're claiming Hebrew Israelites. We're claiming sons and daughters of the living power, because that's who we are. We're not waiting for the other nations to give us a new identity once again. We are the Aborigines. We are the original people here on these lands. But you're seeing how the priests and the churches have been the ones that have been used to confuse people. These are the same ones that you go to on Sundays to have them lead you spiritually. Like they can lead you to God and they can lead you to heaven. But in your spirit, many people, you should at this point start to realize, you know what? If your spirit should be stirring, like, this doesn't make any sense. The stuff they're telling me doesn't make any sense. I'm hearing an alternative, reality now. I'm hearing some things that are different now. I said, I need to go ask my pastor and priest about this information. And trust me, they're not going to have any answers. Their answer is going to be, don't listen to him. He's crazy. Well, when you get past, don't listen to him, he's crazy, can you give me some facts that refute what he's saying? Can you show me some facts that refute what he's saying? They need to stop with all the, just calling names and things like that and saying he's crazy, always going to lead you to hell. Scare tactics. I'm going to go to hell for researching and trying to find the truth. That's going to lead me to hell? You see, that's what they want. That's what they've been banking on, that you don't research and you don't, ask any questions. So again, the British priests have written up a lot of mythical accounts of tribes and characters with which to do this. It is very easy to see through it when it is explained, but it requires study with the necessary knowledge at first to understand it. The accounts of the early beginnings, as given in the histories of Ireland, Scotland, and England, like the early histories of other countries, were all written and composed by the clergy, and for purposes of deception, and for the very reasons set forth in these pages. They have done this work under assumed names in order to conceal the fact, and that they have written, and what they have written is a concoction of fiction and fable mostly. That is, so far as real, actual, matter-of-fact happenings are concerned. See, this book is calling out the clergy. And we know that once you understand the fact that they're all part of the abominable church, they're all part of the church of Satan, the priesthood of Mahan. Good fruit doesn't come from a bad tree. Only bad fruit comes from a bad tree. That tree that they come from is an abominable tree. So therefore, everything that they do is going to be abominable. They do nothing but abominable actions. They don't know anything but to lie. and cause ignorance and darkness. That's all that they know. So what makes sense when you start reading this right here? This is exactly what they do. This is what they are. They don't do anything different. So once you understand that, then you start hearing these things right here. Where it says, what they've done. It makes sense because it fits who they are. And as long as you didn't realize the fact that they were part of the abominable church, then they could hide. Then they could come in after they ordained these armies to come in and destroy your land. Then they can come in at the after all that and play the nice guy, and then you would listen to anything they have to say, and you just have to follow their god. That's how they've been able to get their foothold. Okay, send the armies in. Let them do whatever they want. Let them do all the heinous, horrible things that they want, and then we'll come in at the end, and we'll be the saviors for the people. Okay, you guys go ahead and go into that country now, and now we'll come in and we'll be the saviors. So that's what when they went into Africa and they started doing these horrible things to the African nations over there. Then all of a sudden, all these Christian church, we're going to go set up a church in Africa. We're going to go help out the Africans over there. Now you see why, because they always want to come in and play the nice guys, the savior role. That's what Esau loves to do. I'm going to help you guys. I'm going to help you guys rebuild. Just here's the real God that's going to help you rebuild. Here's white Jesus. This is the God you need to believe in. Satan. The abominable church. This is who they are. No good fruit comes from a bad tree. So again, when it says, the accounts of the early beginnings as given in the histories of Ireland, Scotland, and England, like the early histories of the other countries, were all written and composed by the clergy, the priests of Mahan, and for purposes of deception, and for the very reasons set forth in these pages. And that's it. They're all about deception. They're trying to hide who were the original Celts, trying to hide who were the original Celts and their church, and that the fact that their church was bringing knowledge, understanding worldwide. They wanted to assume that position as if they were the ones that were bringing knowledge to the world, but they're bringing nothing but death, destruction, and ignorance. So when you understand who the players are, and before when we were asleep, they were the only option. So therefore, you didn't have an alternative to the lies, but now you do. Now the Most High has raised up His people. Now you have an option. Now you have another option that's actually the truth. They cannot be refuted. So again, choose this day whom you will serve. All praise is the Most High Yahweh. Acknowledgement to the earthly mother. Who is wisdom? Who is the Holy Spirit? Acknowledgement to Yahweh Shai. Shalom.